What's up, guys? So I wanted to give you guys a brief update on my health because, as you guys may or may not know, I've been, the last 10 years of my life, I've been trying to cure my Hashimoto's disease. Now, if you ask any endocrinologist or any doctor for that matter, or anybody on any forum like the Hashimoto or hypothyroid subreddit, they'll tell you that it's not possible. And first of all, I really hated that answer. Even when I didn't know how to reverse this thing, I knew deep down that the human body is capable of healing itself. Obviously, there are scenarios where, there's too much damage and too much scar tissue, etc., so it can't heal. And that could be the case for me. But nonetheless, the markers for Hashimoto's disease are antibodies. You can measure them, and that's what I've been doing over the last 15 years. And I've spent on average $100 to $200 per month in blood tests just so I could see what's going on as I'm doing all these different experiments. So I've done every single diet. I've done every single supplement you could think of. I've taken high doses of iodine. I've tried everything. So, but things are actually looking good. And so I wanted to show you guys, first of all, what I'm seeing, these results, because they do speak for themselves. And then, tell you what I'm expecting to happen in the next several months to a year. And hopefully inspire some people to take their health into their own hands. So here we have the thyroid peroxidase antibodies. As I mentioned, the thyroid peroxidase antibodies, TPO, and the thyroglobulin antibodies, TG, are the two kind of hallmark markers for Hashimoto's disease. So if you have high antibodies, it means you have the autoimmune condition. You could have hypothyroidism without the autoimmune thyroiditis. So there's two components to it. There's the actual hypothyroidism where you're not producing enough hormone, and then there is the actual autoimmune attack against your thyroid gland. So you can see here, August 2023, my TPO antibodies were 660. Now, this is actually markedly lower. In fact, let me show you guys. All right, this is disappointing. Anyway, so apparently I can't go back before August 2023 for some reason. I'll figure it out later. But in the meantime, you'll have to take my word for this. But prior to 2023, my TPO antibodies were over 900. The test doesn't go above 900, so that's literally the max. It's very possible that it was in the thousands, 2000s. I have no idea. But for 15 years of my life, my TPO antibodies were over 900. Now, since I started the high dose vitamin D combined with the Shoemaker protocol, which is, taking cholestyramine and then VIP spray and doing the carnivore diet. So all those three things together, they started to come down. So they went down from over 900, which is, like I said, the cap, to 660 in August. And then it went up a tiny bit and then it started to drop. So 597, 472, and then it went back up in December of 2023 because I went on vacation. I was eating a bunch of gluten and all that stuff. I was still taking my vitamin D. So I thought that was really interesting. I've been carnivore for almost 4 years, and my TPO antibodies did not really budge all that much. Sometimes it dipped below 900, but almost always it was over 900. Now after I started the vitamin D, which in my opinion is proof that I had issues with my vitamin D receptors, after starting that, it's been steady decline. So you can see here on this chart, it's almost a linear progression downwards. Now, the last test I did a week ago shows that my TPO antibodies are at 313. Interestingly enough, there are studies that show that antibodies below 400 does not usually result in full-fledged hypothyroidism. Now, obviously, I started from sky high, not from zero. So, now that I'm under 400, does that mean that I won't need to take my medication anymore? Who knows? But I did check my TSH levels to see if there's a difference, and lo and behold, I am officially hyper. Now, this chart is insane because, as you can see, my TSH used to be in the 90s, and it's really high. So you can barely see the kind of ups and downs over the last, I would say since November, because the chart is skewed by that insane outlier. But back in January 2024, the first test, I was on 275 micrograms of levothyroxine. After I saw that 0.56 result, I felt like, you know what, I'm getting into hyper territory. Let me reduce it um, by 25 micrograms. So I started taking 250. Now, I took 250 and then I tested a week or two after because I had skipped a dose and my TSH was at 3.48. For me, that's fine. I know that ideal is considered around like 1, but I didn't really care. So I stayed on the dose of 250 micrograms. Now, since then, we're end of February, 0.15. That's considered hypothyroid. So I reduced it again to 200 micrograms. Now, 275, 200, even 100 is to me a lot, and that's higher than most people will take in their lifetime. So I'm going to cautiously be optimistic about this result and say that this looks like I could start coming off of medication slowly, but I'm going to take it one step at a time. So right now I'm at 200. If 6 to 8 weeks from now my TSH is still in a good place, I might reduce it further. But I mean, these numbers don't lie. Obviously something's going on. Obviously, I don't want to say obviously because I don't necessarily know what the outcome is going to be. I don't know if I'm going to settle on 100 micrograms and not be able to go down any further. But obviously I'm going to do my best here, and my TPO antibodies are coming down. I mean, that's really what makes me the happiest, because let's say, for example, that my antibodies normalized entirely. That means that I was able to successfully reverse autoimmunity in my body. And autoimmunity has a lot of consequences. So generally, having antibodies, having any autoimmune condition predisposes you to other autoimmune conditions. So the less inflammation I have, the less antibodies I have, the less autoimmunity I have, the more just generally healthy I'll be, the more healing I can do, the more I can work out and recover faster, things like that. So I'm pretty excited about that. I didn't test my free T4 or free T3 this time around because I don't necessarily think it's all that important. Free T3 dramatically changes based on what I eat, so I don't even really check it. So you can see here that I've had low, high, and I've really tried to correlate it with how I feel, and it doesn't really seem to make a difference. So right now, I'm like right in the dead center of the range as of like last month. So, and my T4 is kind of on the high end of normal. So I'm going to continue testing just TSH and my antibodies and see what happens. If you guys care about my PTH, I can show you my calcium is back to normal. So I was on almost 120,000 IUs of vitamin D a day. That's why my calcium started to go up a little bit. As soon as it went above the reference range, I cut immediately, but I'm back on taking 50,000 IUs a day. I think that's a pretty good conservative dosage. My PTH, if I could find that. Here you can see my PTH. It's been low, obviously, because I've been taking the super high dose vitamin D, but now it's kind of back to the bottom of normal. I don't think it's necessarily dangerous for someone with vitamin D receptor issues to take high doses of vitamin D and have their PTH go a little bit below normal. So, my target is probably going to be around 14, which is what my result was in January. Now that I'm taking 50,000 IUs a day. So that's pretty much it. I don't know how to express my optimism. Probably doesn't show on my face because I'm just exhausted and I've been doing this for so long that it's hard to imagine that there is a light at the end of the tunnel and that I am going to be able to completely get off medication and live a completely normal life and not have to worry about this stuff ever again. But right now I'm just kind of trying to stick with the diet, stick with my supplement regimen, and just not screw up and set myself back, because sometimes I get to, when I see results, and I think this is human nature, but when I see that things are moving in the right direction, I'll ease up and I'll be a little bit more lax and I'll, not eat as clean. And then that'll set me back and then I'll get frustrated with myself. So I'm going to try and avoid that cycle. Anyway, if you're still here listening to me ramble, thank you very much. I'm doing this for myself, for my family, and for all of you guys who are kind of rooting for me and waiting to see what the outcome of all this is. I know that I'm really eager to see how this ends. I think that if I really hunker down and continue doing everything that I'm doing now, I can completely normalize my TPO by summer. So we'll see. I'm doing my best. Thanks, guys.